Morning. So today I wanted to talk about the topic of rejection and how it's really just redirection on your path. So we're talking rejection in any shape or form, whether that be from a job, someone that you're interested in, what the hell else can you get rejected in? Anything. A school, the things that you would most likely have come across being rejected. And just the ways that rejection has shaped my life and observing through the future of being rejected, of where it then led me, and realizing that I was meant to have that redirection happen. I don't like calling it rejection, I like calling it redirection. And I think that's a better way that we can go about being rejected in a healthy way and not letting it diminish your self-worth. Because I feel like a lot of times we as human beings require this external need to be validated. And so when you become rejected, it's like almost as if you're being invalidated of your worth. When my sweet earthling, people's rejections or any type of rejection, it does not have anything to do with your worth. It does not have anything to do with the human being that you are and the quality of life that you bring to this earth, okay? It just means that in that moment, it's not in alignment, and that's okay. Being unaligned with something does not mean that you're doing something wrong or that you're not worthy enough for something. It just means that the universe has another path for you, another idea, another destination that you're supposed to get to, that whatever you just got rejected from wasn't going to bring you there, and it was going to lead you somewhere else, or it was going to take you on a path that was going to take a lot longer to get where you're trying to go. And so I'm going to try to come up with some examples of some jobs that I was rejected from at the beginning of my journey out in Hawaii, and how it led me on this stepping stone path of where I am. And then maybe we'll get into relationship rejections, but I kind of want to start within like the job field and schools or whatever. I wasn't rejected from any colleges, but yet I only really applied to like 2. So I don't have much experience about that. But if you didn't get into the school that you were looking for, then I'm sure that there's a reason why that wasn't a fit and you're meant to go somewhere else. It's all just like changing your perspective about rejection. That's like the big thing that I want to focus on in here, is like not letting it feel as if it's a suffocating experience of you're not worthy enough. It's like, let's take a lighter approach to rejection, because it's not that big of a deal, even though we make it such a big deal sometimes. So let's fast forward. Now let's rewind back to, I had moved out to Hawaii in 2020, and I was looking for jobs, and I started working at this crystal shop in Kailua, and I really liked the experience. It was awesome, super wonderful. I'm a crystal lady, I like that kind of shit. But I got fired after like a month of working there, because I guess I was too much in the 5 dimension is what I was told. But they told me, listen, we don't want you to work in the retail space, but we want you to hold classes. So redirection. I wasn't working retail space, but I was holding classes there. So I was teaching tarot, and I was doing held container of Reiki space. So I was holding, I wouldn't necessarily, yes, it's Reiki, but I practice more of like quantum healing. So there is elements of Reiki into it, but I've cultivated my own practice with energy, which is also something that I want to talk about on this channel. But I was like, kind of felt like talking about this topic this morning. Anyway, so yeah, that was a form of rejection / redirection, which when I got fired from the crystal shop, I ain't gonna lie, the rest of that day I drove myself home because I was in work that day. went to work, it got pulled out aside and was like, listen, yeah, this isn't working. And I literally got in the car and I cried all the way home. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Why was I like, what the heck? Like, why was I fired, you know? And I was like, what was I doing wrong? And I was looking for all these answers within myself. Like, what's wrong with me? Why is that our solution for when we get rejected, is to then like try to dissect, like, what's wrong with me? It's like, no, maybe that's not the issue. You know, there are maybe some scenarios, I'm not going to dismiss them all, where within lenses of rejection, it is good to take a lens of self-accountability and to inquire within ourselves, like, what did I do that maybe could have led to me not being rejected? But I think there's also, like, we don't want to take too much of a weight on that and just like kind of dump this lens of like shit talking ourselves of like, I am unworthy. I'm like, no, 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 no. You are not any of those things. Maybe there are some things that you'd like to do some self-improvement on that this rejection illuminated for you. Or maybe the rejection was blatantly just redirection and there was really nothing wrong, but you just needed, the universe needed to move you in a different direction. Which the universe likes to do that. The universe likes to work in mysterious ways. And sometimes when you're not aligned with something energetically, the universe is going to work its little like magician ass magic, and it's going to like totally separate you from that. And it's going to take you out of that. And you may not see it in the moment that you just weren't aligned there in that space, but you will see it in the future as you start to realign and find your flow and realize that where you were was not serving you. And when I look back, the crystal shop wasn't serving me. It wasn't. It was cool. It was fun. It was a long drive to get there. And I was meant to do something else. Fast forward, I got another job at another, it wasn't so much a crystal shop, but it was an apothecary metaphysical store. And that was an amazing experience. I'm super honestly grateful that first of all, it was like, I could walk to work. That's in itself a blessing. It wasn't half an hour across the mountain. I could walk to work. Okay? I love it. I was the first employee there. I got to help this amazing woman build a business. Granted, yes, she did so much of the work and she's a boss-ass lady, but I got to help her build this. And that was such an honor for me. And I have so much gratitude around that experience, you know? And like, if I hadn't gotten rejected from that crystal shop, I would have still been working there and I wouldn't have had this opportunity to help someone build their dream. And that was amazing. And if I felt more aligned in this space, and I got to work with herbs, and I was like creating a lot of the product for the store, and I learned a lot through that, like, because I was in at the moment while I was working there, I was in holistic health school. And so that job just aligned more to what I was doing, because I was like creating these herbal blends, and basically I was the store's product maker, which was awesome. So I had to like do a little self-teaching of just like different herbal blends that we were using for the store. And simultaneously I was going to school for holistic health. So it was all just like, it meshed, it blended so well together. And I realized I was supposed to be here. And so the day I looked back on the day that I got fired from Kailua Crystal, well, I wasn't supposed to say names in this video. Maybe I already did. I got fired from my crystal job, and the deep lens of despair that I was in within that moment. And I thought back and I was like, why was I so upset? I think a lot of times is like, we are such here now beings that when something fails in the moment, that we think that our lives are going to shit and everything is just a catastrophic pit of doom. And in the moment when things are not aligned and there's chaos, we get wrapped up in the chaos and we just are like, oh my God, my life's horrible. Like everything's just falling down, when it's like, okay, breathe, step out of the chaos for a moment, see that this is all just redirection. And you're going to be fine. And a lot of times in between periods of where a rejection maybe happens and you're in this kind of in between and you're floating, it's uncomfortable because you just kind of had to dig to your ego of being rejected, and now you have to pick yourself back up and you have to go look off and see and open yourself up to where you are being guided to. And sometimes that's hard when we put so much energy into something that we are trying to cultivate and then we get rejected from it. And it's like, well, I was just spending so much of my time focusing on this thing and now I have to like change my focus. And yes, it's uncomfortable, it's not fun, but you can do it and it's possible, and it's bringing you to more aligned, better things. And a lot of times people, things, occurrences in life are either blessings or they're lessons. Blessings or lessons, that's what I like to call it. But even within the lessons, there are blessings. So that's what rejection is. Rejection can be a blessing. It can be a lesson. It can be both. So let's keep going on this story now, which now I'm at this apothecary business. I go back home. I'm visiting Vermont for like a month. I'd been working there for a little over a year at this point, I think. Yeah. And, or about a year or so, or whatever. And I come back to Island. I get COVID. I can't go back to work because I keep testing positive for COVID. And I didn't know what to do. I'd say this goes around the lens of rejection. Maybe it kind of teeters around it, but like I basically was rejected my job because I kept testing positive for COVID. And I was like, well, you know, once I test negative, like I will eventually test negative. Can I please come back to work? And then it kind of finally got to a point where she was like, listen, we just like, we sadly cannot bring you back on. That threw me for a loop, guys. Holy shit. Like I had just put in a year of my time, my energy into this job, cultivating this business with this woman. And I was in a pit. I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And it was the moment that I lost that job that I'd also just graduated from massage school at that point. So I was at a very like new beginnings type thing. Wonder why I lost the job right when I finished massage school and graduated and like was on a, you know, I had put in so much work into my own self-development. Bitch, maybe it was because you had fallen out of alignment and you were meant to go start something new. You gotta look at the bigger picture. Sometimes we hyper focus on shit. And I was hyper focusing a little bit. I was like, oh my God, I lost a job. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And so I started my art business. It was super slow, and I'm gonna make another video about that because the process of starting a business can take flight super fast and it can just take off running, and you can have a business that goes from 0 to 100 really quick. It's possible. A lot of times starting a business is not like that. And I know I'm going kind of around a block within this rejection philosophy. But leading into how I got then rejected from another job, and it was time to start my own business. And it's been 2 years of working on that. And it's been the biggest blessing I've ever received because it gave me confidence to finally put all the energy that I was putting into other people into myself and into my own life that I wanted to cultivate for me. Okay. Now let's go into rejections with people. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm a very out there, honest type of person, which leads to rejection sometimes, which I'm totally comfortable with this at this point in my life. And I know that's hard. It's hard for people to be vulnerable with people because they are so scared of freaking rejection. But it's like, okay, here's my little philosophy. People are mirrors of one another. I am you, you are me. We're all the same being or whatever, okay? And so, like, when I go to tell someone, like, oh, like, I have feelings for you or whatever, it's like I'm just looking into a mirror of myself. And that kind of makes me comfortable about saying it, because it's just like, I'm just telling myself that I enjoy being around you. I have deeper feelings for you. And if that is a rejection within that space, it's okay. It does. Yes, maybe there are elements of this mirror that don't align, but it does not have any account on your self-worth of you as a human being. And I think that's super important for people to really develop self-confidence and self-assuredness and not have to need external validation from people, because I think that's why rejection can be so painful, is because, like I said at the beginning of the video, it's a form of validation. Is that if you are not validated by someone, that if your worth is not validated by someone, you become rejected by them, then you would just all of a sudden dismiss any validation that you have for yourself. And I think why I've been able to get to this point in my life is because I've taken a lot of time being single, and partially by choice, actually a lot of it by choice. Like, I've had opportunities for relationships and I've gotten out of relationships. Even from when I was like in 5th grade, I told myself, because when my friends were getting boyfriends, I was like, I'm not going to date anyone till I was 19. Like, I've always, since I was a tiny little tyke, had this philosophy of a very self-independent human being who knows her fucking worth. Period. And I want that for everyone, is to know their worth, because it's going to lead to you being not as like hurt or demolished by other people's opinions about you, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Like, you are on a tiny rock catapulting through outer space with billions of other people on it, billions of other entities floating throughout the universe, and you're gonna let one person's opinion of you or rejection of you totally take down the human being that you are? Absolutely fucking not. We're not doing that. Also, your opinion about yourself is the number one most important opinion. You're the one who has to live with you for the rest of your life. So imagine if someone else's rejection then made you reject yourself. What? Why would you do that? Why would you let one person or a few people, say you get rejected by multiple people? This is for the men the woman who you get rejected by, because I know that happens. It's like, who cares? Someone didn't align with your energy within that moment. Maybe it wasn't meant to happen anyway, and maybe it was a redirection into someone that you were then meant to be with. Like, I had a few years ago, I was rejected by a friend, and I was like, I have feelings for you, rejected by them, and I realized I was never meant to be with them. It was strictly meant to be a friendship, and I'm still really good friends with this human being to this day. And it redirected me into starting another relationship with someone else very shortly after, actually, which that relationship led to some very interesting twists and turns. But I needed all the lessons that I got from that relationship, and I wouldn't have gotten that from that other person. And so I needed that to happen. And so after seeing that, and also I told my feelings to a friend in college as well, and I was rejected within that as well. And I met say, it's all just meant to, like, you see it happen in the moment, and it sucks, or whatever. Maybe it doesn't suck. Rejection can be painful, it can sting, but the goal of this video is just like, don't let it be as painful doesn't need to be that painful. That's what I'm trying to say, is that not everyone in this life is gonna like you. It's the way of things. But there's 7 billion people in this world, and a lot of times within being rejected is that because we're mirrors of one another, it's like you may be mirroring something in that person that they're not ready to look at, or they may be mirroring something in you that you're not meant to, you know what I'm saying? It's like, my brain just went blank for a minute. You don't need to be liked by everyone. And some relationships in life are only meant to go to a certain extent or a certain direction. Because basically, you never know what's around the corner. The future is super mystical, unpredictable, and you don't know what the universe has in store for you. And so the times that I've been rejected, or when I am, I basically, if I start to go down into a heavy space where I'm like, ah, damn, like, why did I not get this job? Why did this person not, you know? It's like, I'm like, okay, universe, what do you have in store? Where are you trying to redirect me? What should I be focusing on? That, you know, I tried to put my energy in this direction, but you're obviously clearly telling me it needs to be put somewhere else. And so just making more of a light situation about it. It's like, okay, where do I need my attention? Because obviously I'm focusing in a direction that isn't going to bring me what I need in this moment. So what do I need? Where should I put my energy? Who should I put my energy towards? And allow that to unfold, and to not take it so personally. I think we take things in life way too personally, when we have to realize that we're all walking human beings with lives before we meet one another, you know? And we have traumas, life experiences, all these things that cultivate us into the perspective that we look at the world through. And so a lot of times when you meet someone, they meet you, and maybe it doesn't work out in the way that you were hoping for. You maybe think that it's not just about you, but it's also about the other person. And so by looking at it through that lens, you don't have to take on this responsibility of not being good enough for someone. Just realize it takes two to create a dynamic. And if that person has things within themselves and you have things within yourself that just are not compatible, then it's not because you are not compatible with them. It's like you're both not compatible for one another. It's like it takes two to create a dynamic. It's not that there's something wrong with you and that's why that person doesn't like you. It's like there's healing within both parties, and maybe that's why the universe wasn't allowing you to come together in that moment. Maybe you'll come together in the future, but maybe in the moment it's like, nope, it's not going to work. We see it's not going to work, and the universe redirects and realigns, and you just have to surrender in that moment and realize that. Take a deep breath. Don't be so hard on yourself, and see what this redirection is trying to lead you into, so you can really harness the blessings that the universe wants to offer you, and the redirections and the paths that are opening up. Because a lot of times we hyper-focus on paths when there's a lot of paths around us, and if a path gets rejected, it's an opportunity to look off in a different way and see, oh, maybe this wasn't aligned. Maybe there's another path that is more aligned to the human being that I am. Because sometimes we like to think that we know what's best for ourselves, when sometimes we don't. And the universe, the earth, the Mother Nature has more to show us than what we're looking through. You have to put both into perspective, take a balanced approach at it, rather than just being stubborn and being like, this is what I want and I'm gonna get it. I'm just like never gonna focus on anything else and I'm gonna do hyper-focus vision. It's like, okay, look around. Is that really what you want? Is that really where the universe is trying to take you? Anyway, I hope that helped. I hope that made sense. Yeah. Anyway, I love you guys. So next time you have a rejection in your life, define it as redirection. I love you all. Bye-bye.